Well, welcome back to another evening of racing here at Syndicate Motorsport. Here for another evening of LMP2 racing, and unfortunately this is going to be Le Petit Le Mans because we have only 7 cars on the grid, which is a very disappointing turnout for the grid that we had originally signed up for this league. But yes, we'll see if we can make this as entertaining as possible. Thank you for all of those who have bothered to attend. Hopefully we get a good race out of that, and the battle for the championship continues with the likes of Forrest McCormack, Andrew and Akashik and Eric Axelson in attendance, so at least there will be a title fight to witness here today, if not much else. Quite an interesting layout for the starting grid here. It's A, not in the boxes, and B, a little bit well, different. Anyway, we're starting here in the morning, heavy overcast cloud, so it is a little bit duller. I've actually increased the exposure to 200%, would you believe? It still looks quite dark, but we'll hopefully get some good sunshine coming in later on. The lights are up. Ready to roll. So lights are up, engines are revving. And away we go. Good start there for one of the Team Amarath cars on the right hand side, as Binding and Andrew are split down the middle, and Akashik and Forrest McCormack split the 2 silver LMP2s early into the first set of chicanes, heading under Dunlop Bridge for the first run. A little bit of contact in the background between Andrew and Akashik. Just going to pop back to these two. But there is some potential early action unfolding here. On board here with Akashik, we can see the first turn onto the main straight, and Akashik's catching a little bit of the track debris there as they go a little bit off track. Further down we've got Forrest McCormack executing the first overtake over Binding as he pulls out to the right hand side, heading down to the first of the 2 chicanes on the main straight. A little bit of a messy entry there, but does a good job of managing to get through there to Forrest McCormack. At the rear looking camera here, so Binding 0.4 of a second behind at this stage. Still in slipstream territory. There is a kind of a window of about 0.4 second and below where you can get slipstream. You can see Binding starting to reel Forrest McCormack in a little bit there. Ooh, bit of a nudge on the back, and that sends Forrest McCormack into the gravel trap, as does Eric Axelson in the background. Now Andrew and Forrest McCormack side by side, with Andrew just pulling ahead as they head down to the final corner at the end of the straight here. And now for the right-hander. Ooh, Akashik getting launched there by the looks of it. Not sure what happened to him, but he's dropped down into 4th place. On board now with Forrest McCormack as we head down to Indianapolis. Well within striking distance here from a slipstream point of view, but probably not the best place to try and make the overtake happen. But I think there's going to be a sniff down the right-hand side. Goes to the double. Here they come into Indianapolis. Of course, in LMP2s, you are almost fully turned through Indianapolis before you hit the brakes, and then you get ready for the turn left before Arnage. Then Arnage, of course, down to a very slow speed before hitting the gas and heading down on the way down to the Porsche Curves. So the gaps are starting to form, but Andrew at the moment is clinging on. Let's go on board with the Andrew here for the Porsche Curves, for some of my favourite corners in sim racing. You get these absolutely nailed in an LMP car, they feel absolutely incredible. At the moment, Forrest McCormack demonstrating the same level of skill that he's demonstrated the entirety of this championship, and artfully getting that LMP2 round those corners, leaving Andrew a little bit wanting, but Andrew managing to gain some ground here as they head down to the final set of chicanes to close out the opening lap here. Let's go back on board then. So Andrew here coming up, looking for a sniff down the right hand side as they head down to the first set of chicanes. Have to wait his turn, I think, and push for a move later on. Under the Dunlop Bridge, down through the first sweeping corners. Perhaps a little bit of understeer there kicking in for Andrew. Carrying a little bit too much speed in potentially. Neither of these two have got their headlights on, but the cars behind certainly do. Here's Andrew onto the main straight, 0.2 of a second behind Forrest McCormack at this stage, so plenty of opportunity here for slipstream. Goes for the double, falls to the left hand side, and that's going to put him on the outside of the first chicane. Forrest McCormack now tucking in behind. Now pushes back for a potential late brake manoeuvre, but thinks twice about it. Looking backwards here from Andrew's point of view, you can see Forrest McCormack in the background. Really important to stay in the slipstream, and Forrest McCormack has just dropped out of that, being now 0.5, 0.6 of a second behind. So this might be Andrew's opportunity to open up a little distance here between himself and Forrest McCormack, who is the one to watch here. I have just got open VARs, but I'm not keeping an eye on that window at the moment. I do mean the Goodyear Bridge car level. What have I been saying? Oh, of course, yeah, no, I'm used to the THR one where it was Dunlop, and now it's Goodyear, isn't it? So Eric Axelson, a bit further back down here. Here's Akshik behind binding, getting a little bit of sun glare coming in as the sun rises in the sky. Now they're going side by side down to Indianapolis. So Andrew has opened a 1.3 second gap to Forrest McCormack, and that is a rather large gap at a track like Le Mans. If you aren't in the slipstream, then there's very little opportunity to catch up unless the person in front of you is making a mistake. And Andrew is not the driver to give out mistakes very often, so Forrest McCormack might be waiting a little bit of time here for this to go back, but speaking of the devil, Andrew just caught a little bit too much curb there actually, and that lifted up the front of the car. That may have slowed him down a touch. And you can see Forrest McCormack has closed a little bit of distance, but let's go back on board with Forrest McCormack and see whether he can deliver the goods here. Had to lift off there, I think, to avoid hitting the sand. That's allowed Andrew to extend the gap back to 1.3 seconds. And this is a little bit of what I was worried about when I have so few cars on the grid. The opportunity for gaps like this to start to open up and a little bit less action on the track becomes a real reality. Let's go back to Akshik. Also has a bit of a separation between himself and binding at this stage. Eric in 5th place at the moment. Eric was a really strong contender in the BTCC league that we ran, but seems to struggle a little bit with the high downforce cars, and LMP2, as by his own admission, is not his favourite or preferred car class. Eddie just finishing up the prior lap. So back to our race leader, Andrew here, heading down to the first of the two chicanes on the straight. Ah, goddammit, I've gone to enable the streaming thing, which makes the cam work. always forget to enable that, but there you go. However, it's been enabled. We're just drawing to the end of the first 10 minutes of the race, and the gaps are opening. Last laps look fairly consistent for drivers. Well, actually, no, tell a lie. Andrew's 3:26 there, or 3:26.695. Forrest Cormac a fair bit slower there. Akashik also on track with a 3:26, and then you've got Forrest and Finding who are relatively similar there. But Eric joining the 3:29 club, and then Box and Erdy a bit further behind, so hope we can get a bit of a tightening up of the lap times and a closing up of the two of the cars here. But I love this time of day for the aesthetics on track, where the sun starts to dapple through the windscreen, hitting the track and casting some nice long shadows. Here's Akashik just coming through Arnage. Does look like Eric is starting to gain a little bit of ground here against Akashik. That gap's getting significantly smaller. Might be a potential here for a battle between E4 and 5 to start to develop. Yes, red, it will show a pit status if you enter the pits. That's a good point actually. So this race is an hour long, and that will necessitate a pit stop at some point. If I pop to Akashik's view, you'll be able to see Eric in the background there using the rear cam. Those clouds certainly make it quite dark, don't they? Combination of the time of day. Oh, I couldn't tell actually, Red, if this was starting early morning and we were watching dawn, but I think you're right, it's going darker, so it's definitely definitely going to be a night race. Hopefully, unlike the 1960s version of Le Mans, where you've got about 1 or 2 street lights, there should be a little bit more lighting here in the modern version to allow us to see what's going on. Seeing a bit of a glow coming off the cars, and I know that the discs will be glowing, but let's take a quick look closer up here and see whether the CSP settings are just causing a bit of a funny glow from the wheels when Akashik hits the braking zone at the end of the straight, which will be shortly. That looks pretty normal from that point of view. I guess it's just the external cameras potentially which are causing the flare that I'm seeing. So here's that battle between Eric Axelsen and Akashik starting to develop. In the background here, Eric just closing in. Head down to Indianapolis. I do like how this HUD seems to get very confused about starting positions. You can see there that Akashik apparently started 16th in the 7-person grid and has gained 11 positions. Must have been quite adept at lapping people. And the overtake from Eric has been swift, with Akshik now dropping down to P5. Let's see what Akshik has in store. He's attempting a rather bold overtake off track there, but has thought twice about it. New fastest lap for Andrew there, 3:26.695. On board here with Akshik as they head down to the first corner. Well, wouldn't you know, it still says Dunlop on it. Dunlop. Dunlop. It's definitely the Dunlop bridge. There we go, Akshik now back ahead of Eric. And Eric, unfortunately, a little bit too far behind now to catch up on the slipstream here. Well, it says Dunlop here, so it's going to be Dunlop for the purpose of this race. So, best laps there. Akshik on a 3:26, the only one to be in contention with Andrew there. Meanwhile, Eric, Forrest and Dylan a little bit further back. Eric not able to catch up on the straights, which is understandable. It's going to be, you can see the sun just, I don't know if it's sun glare or, ooh, Eric spinning. Thankfully a void is damaged, but that's definitely going to have heated up the tyres. Thankfully this straight will allow the tyres to cool a little bit, but that's very likely put an end to the battle between Akshik and Eric for the time being. Going back to our race leader Andrew, 2.5 seconds clear of Forrest McCormack now. Very aggressive entry to Indianapolis there. It'll be interesting to see after this race if the automatic ballast system that we have developed is going to work. That will scan the championship page and check everyone's ballast and then compare it to what their ballast should be. If it sees any discrepancies, it will automatically update the ballast on the championship page and apply it to all sessions. And then at some point in the following day, I guess, it will kick into the practice session. So it's going to be interesting to see if that works without any intervention. That should make things a little bit more straightforward. Give everyone the correct ballast for the practice session during the week. New fastest lap there for Andrew, 3:26.681. Shaving off a few more milliseconds. That's bad news for Forrest McCormack, who is falling a little bit further behind, although Akshik takes the new best lap there with a 3:26.481. That's quite a significant improvement over Andrew. Unfortunately, a little bit of work for Akshik to do here, but they are catching against Andrew's teammate Binding. There might be a chance here for Akshik to gain podium finish. On board here with Akshik. Binding goes quite wide on the entry to the Mulsanne Straight. Again, a little bit too far back for Akshik to slipstream at this stage. Going to have to keep chipping away in the corners to reel binding in. Sun dipping a little bit lower. That's going to move us closer to the nighttime action. Ooh, that sounds like a binding off in the gravel. And that is the case. Akshik now into third place. Unfortunately, no battle unfolding there. Sun very dazzling now for anyone driving in VR. I imagine that's quite a headache, but very pretty from our point of view at least. No, Red, you're misunderstanding. Vile said night all day, which of course makes sense. So, new fastest lap there for Andrew, 3:26.364. Let's see if Akshik can do any better. No. So, Andrew reclaims the fastest lap title. But you can see Akshik has opened up a pretty significant gap over Binding at this stage. Binding definitely got his work cut out now to try and recoup that loss. Although here is the mistake from Akshik. That is no bueno. That won't allow Binding to catch up fully. It certainly will allow a little bit of a loosening of the gap there. In the background, Eric Axelsen further back as well from Binding, so struggling to gain on these two. But at the front though, Andrew just maintaining this gap to Forrest McCormack, which has become significantly longer. There's Forrest in the background. So much for the early battle between these two. It's certainly been settled at this stage. But that being said, there are 37 minutes left in this race and plenty of time for things to change. No, Eric's certainly struggling, Neo. What a beautiful sunset here. Yeah, it's a good point, Viles. Quite a significant gap here. Forrest McCormack now 6 seconds behind Andrew. And Akshik isn't actually too far behind his teammate at this stage. Seconds to go until he can catch up, but perhaps if Akshik can close the gap to Forrest McCormack, they can start to slipstream each other. While Binding 2.7 seconds behind Akshik. Yeah, Vars, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the gap or positions gained metric. It's wrong every race so far. I'd like to give a bit of feedback to the HUD developers. Let's take a look actually, so let's look at the top speed difference that Forrest McCormack has. So if we go to Andrew, 309, 315, 320, 324 at the breaking point. Maybe 4 kilometres an hour slower for Forrest McCormack. I mean, not a huge amount, but on a long straight like this, it can be a bit of a contributing factor. I wouldn't say it's enough to put them as far apart as they are. Going to be so aggressive on the braking in Indianapolis. You see Forrest is like on the apex, turned in before he dies, but look at that, a little bit of a mistake in Arnage. That kind of thing will creep up on you. Meanwhile, Akashik still 2.5 seconds or so ahead of Binding. So Andrew goes one quicker again. I guess the fuel burning off is allowing a slightly lighter car. The tyres are still probably in pretty good condition. Suggested though that fuel might be something which needs to be thought about for Andrew, and we're approaching the halfway mark, so it might be the end of this lap. Andrew comes in for a pit stop, we'll have to see. Gotta say LMP2 and LMP1 cars are very nice to look at. Sun setting in the background as Andrew turns down the Mulsanne Straight here. So, Forrest McCormack down in 5th. And that looked like Nerdy. Interesting. Double check what's going on there with... The Forrest McCormack's pitted already. Hence his position in 5th place now. Yeah, Forrest came in early, so I think he's trying to do the undercut on Andrew, so he's expecting, like I am, for Andrew to come in. Let's go ahead and see whether that comes true. Of course, for this to work, he has to hope that Andrew's in the pits long enough. Aggressive entry to the Porsche Curves there for Andrew. It's insane, is it? 170 miles an hour flat out through a corner. So, are we going to see the pit stop? No, we're not. But Andrew thinks he can go at least one more. That's the fastest lap for Andrew, 3:26.180. Binding is in the pits, as is Eric. Akshik staying out. Box isn't there yet. Yeah, I think Andrew's pushing hard on his low fuel setup right now. I assume he's going to be pretty low on gas at this point, but let's see whether he could get this back to the pit lane. His teammate Binding is known for running out of fuel in league races. Let's hope that doesn't happen to Andrew here. Porsche McCormack up to 3rd again, as we know. Yeah, it's annoying that you can't see fuel. It's client side though. Just says 20 inside, no matter what car you're in. You ran out last week, well, maybe you should be in a team with Binding. One thing that this livery, or this HUD, sorry, is missing, and it's the lap delta, I guess. Because we can't actually see Andrew's Delta. So Box and Erdy are both in the pits as well now. So Andrew, very likely to be pitting this lap. Hitting the Porsche Curves with quite a bit of aggression. No, he's staying out again. I think he's going to go for that best lap time again. And he gets it. 3:26.067. I think a 3:25 is certainly possible. Oh, okay, good to know, Vals. I'll have to grab that. So interestingly, Akashik has jumped into the pits. And Forrest McCormack is still a fair ways behind. It's all going to come down to Andrew pitting, but at the moment, Andrew's setting such stellar lap times. I think the Forrest McCormack plan to undercut might be unravelling. So nighttime has almost fully descended here at Le Mans, and Andrew is closing in on wrapping up another lap here. He must be very low on fuel at this stage, so I'm going to say it once again, I'm expecting a pit stop. Actually, the pit window is a thing, so he will have to pit this lap. Otherwise he'll miss the pit window. Unless he forgets to do that. Ah, and here it is. So, Andrew comes in. Where's Forrest McCormack right now? He's in P2. And heading down to Indianapolis by the looks of it. Indeed, you've got to turn your headlights on, mate. It is night time. So Andrew's coming into the pits. Average pit time of 1 minute 36 seconds. I'm not entirely sure if that's true. Forrest coming up to Arnage. So Andrew has still not left the pit lane. Forest is coming up to the final chicanes. Andrew doesn't have very long to go to exit the pits. You can see it's right there at the end. Comes Forest, but thought Forest was coming to the pit lane there for a second there. Oh, there's Andrew. He's leaving. That's bad news for Forrest McCormack. Forrest sets the new fastest lap. Where does this put him relative to Andrew? 8 seconds, 7 seconds. But Andrew is just on the way down the hill that Forrest McCormack is starting. So still a big gap there, 7 seconds between the two, and there's only 20 minutes left in the race. Go back to Akashik and Binding, who are only a second apart. Binding, edging as close as he can. He's still 0.8 of a second behind, and that's a little bit too far. You can see that the CMRT HUD hasn't got the pit stops correct either. Look at that, Andrew's the only one who's pitted apparently. So 3:25.649 for Forrest McCormack, that's quite the lap. Beaten Andrew by a good 4/10 there. On board here with Binding as they head down to the Porsche Curves. Interesting line there for Binding. Yeah, there's a few things, Viles, which I think we'll need to feed back on. Considering it's a paid HUD, you want it to work. Again, slightly wide on the entry there for the Binding. But he is pushing as hard as he can right now. edging closer. A little bit of a wobble there for Binding, but he is getting closer. Yeah, Andrew just dominating today. So with 14 minutes left to go, let's see what Binding can do. Both of them taking quite interesting lines there. Oh, and a mistake from Akshik. That allows Binding to floor a few tenths back and now sit squarely in the slipstream. Ooh, but a slight mistake from Binding there as they come under the Dunlop Bridge. Let's see whether he can hold on to Akashik's coattails for a little bit longer. Well, I'd say this is certainly close enough for slipstream, and you can see Binding gaining quickly now. 210 mile an hour overtake. And Akshik falls back down to P4 with Binding slipping onto the podium there. Good news for his team with Andrew. Well, Akshik does need to catch up a bit more quickly than he is right now if he wants to get this back. I think he's kind of on fire right now. That being said, here comes Akshik. Now see in the rear view camera there that Akshik's headlights starting to creep up behind Binding. Ooh, Binding slightly off track there, kicked some curbs. Pressure potentially getting to him. So Akshik is 0.65 behind, which is outside of slipstream. But Akshik is now definitely within that slipstream territory. 0.3 of a second, 0.35. He's got to stay a little bit closer. Starting to kick in now, 0.32. Probably going to catch up just as they get to the first chicane, and it's going to be a question of who comes out of that chicane in one piece. Might be a bit of aero wash for Akshik in this situation. Can see that actually potentially there, a little bit of understeer. Will he be able to catch Binding by the next chicanes? Once again, not quite able to get there in time. A bit of a better exit there for Binding potentially compared to Akshik. Up ahead, Andrew still 7.5 seconds clear of Forrest. Now Akshik closing in. Gets a slipstream on the way down to Indianapolis. Let's see what he can do with this. Indianapolis is not the place you want to overtake. But if you can get closer and close in for Arnage, there might be a chance down on the way to the Porsche Curves. Ooh, Binding's late. And spins. Ah, it's unfortunate for Binding. That might just seal the deal for Akshik here. Ooh, Binding is in real trouble now. Eric has got past. Is this the end for Binding? Oh no. Bad news, or good news for Andrew. 325, 405. That's bad news for Binding. Potentially out of the race, but he's carrying on, which is good. And still salvage P5. Bit of luck there for Eric, who's had a bit of a struggle this race. Meanwhile, out in front, Andrew. No issues. Just 6 minutes left on the race, so just a couple of laps to go. Yeah, Binding is going to have to get a Le Mans rated HDMI cable capable of surviving at least 24 hours of sim racing. On the plus side, Binding has joined Forrest and Andrew in the 325 club, and Akshik is yet to see that time. Now, it looks like we might have a few more laps in this race because Andrew is just coming up to the finish line, and his lap time suggests that there will be another lap in this. .345. So headlights for Forrest McCormack in the background there. 8 seconds behind, unfortunately. Despite the closeness of the battle between these two at the beginning of the race, it has not carried through to the end. Well, the 2CV is a special little car. It probably would be fun to drive those down Pikes Peak. I would say drive it up Pikes Peak, but you might not get there. See whether Andrew has any issues here in the late stage of the race. Just one more lap to go to bring it home to victory. You like how the HUD just occasionally likes to flashbang me. And Andrew goes one better on the fastest lap, 3:25.386. One more lap of the race to go. Ooh, and we're back to 999 members in the Discord. We just need one more. So we're in overtime and just waiting for Andrew to bring it home to the race win. Almost there for Andrew. Once more through the Porsche Curves, heading down now to the stadium for the start-finish line. Andrew has won the race, starting in 15th apparently, which is impressive given the attendees. Ross McCormack picking up second place. And Akshik coming in third. So just give me 2 seconds here, because I have to make a little announcement. So, the results are in for our next championship selection for the Saturday League. We're getting that sorted out early so that we've got that ready to go. And the options that it came down to, which was a draw with 17 votes each, was the RSS F3 or the Ferrari 360 GT. And I've set those up in the wheel of names here so that we can see which one we're going to go for, because it's a tiebreaker, so we're going to have to do this the old-fashioned way. But let's go ahead and spin the wheel and see what we end up with. And it is the RSS F3, so that's going to be our second season of the Open Wheelers. I think we used a slightly different mod last time, but we'll consider this the second season. And there we go. RSS F3 for the next Saturday League. Okie dokie, so let's go ahead and finish up with interviews. And I don't think we've quite cracked it yet, but we are still at 999 members, so I can't do, unfortunately, the 1000 Discord member announcement just yet. Bonjour, Andrew.
What up?
that's not French. So tell me about the race today. How did it go? It seemed like you had a pretty solid race and hit all the fastest lap times, denying everyone else the opportunity. But pretty close battle with you and Forrest at the beginning. What happened after that?
Well, I was just better than him, quite frankly. He couldn't match me.
Harsh fighting words from Andrew.
Ignore the bit where Binding drove into the back of him and gave him severe rear aero damage.
Ah, okay, so that was an issue, was it? I was checking on the straight to see whether there was any top-end speed difference. There didn't seem to be, but I guess it was at the corners where that was the issue.
I mean, he is saying it was a problem, but quite frankly, I think he was just coping, mate. No, that's a lie. He was definitely a lot quicker when he fixed the damage.
Yeah, I think there was the first of the 325s came in after the damage was fixed from Forrest, and then you managed to sneak back in and take the title there. What are your thoughts then on the remainder of the championship? You obviously have picked up a lot of extra points today, and your teammate was close to getting a podium, but unfortunately denied. But only a couple more rounds to go. Are you feeling confident for the remainder of the championship?
Basically, I need Pixel to fuck up, because if he finishes second behind me and I win the next two races, he wins the championship by 1 point. So.
Ah, okay. So it could be a very close run thing.
Yeah, we tried to do something about that today with Binding punting him, but it just wasn't enough. We'll have to go for a stronger punt next time.
Team tactics.
Indeed.
Very good. Well, I mean, congratulations on the solid race today. Shame the grid size was so small, but I was also pleased to see that CMRT reporting that you gained 14 positions in a 7-person race. That was very impressive. You really worked hard for that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, my pace is just so much better than everyone else. Can you expect anything less?
Extreme Norfolk dominance here. Well, yeah, congratulations, Andrew. I think a solid win for you today. Couldn't have done anything better, I don't think. And hopefully things go well for you for the remainder of the championship. Are you all set for the next race? Got a setup in mind for it?
Silverstone, might actually have to put some downforce on the car for Silverstone, so we'll see.
Have you been running completely 0-0 for this race, I assume?
Yeah, everyone was. It's
yeah.
funny.
Pretty. I mean, it's interesting actually. The cars obviously have quite a lot of grip because most people are running that in a lot of the rounds. But yeah, Silverstone might shake things up a little bit, and I assume Yas Marina will same.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Very good. Well, I'll leave you to it, Andrew, and congratulate you one more time. And I'll bring in the Irishman.
Get Carlover in. That'll be a really good interview.
I'm out of choice words. But I'll catch you later, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Yeah, see you.
So, Mr. Pixel, you've been cruelly punted in the rear today. How did that affect your race?
The shocking, vicious, completely unsportsmanlike attempt by Wild Hogs Racing to rig this championship because they cannot win on skill and pace alone. Shocking behaviour.
I also understand you had some issues with your lights button as well.
My lights were on my end.
I'm sure they were, Forrest.
No, they were.
So tell me, I mean, the fight at the beginning was quite exciting between you and Andrew. Was it kind of game over after the damage was picked up?
Yeah, well, the rear end was stepping out a lot, which made the car more difficult to drive. And then I was 3 kilometers an hour down on the straights, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it definitely makes a difference of a few tenths. And that's the difference between, say, in the slipstream and falling out of it. So I just lost time to Andrew, and then the increased tire wear with the sliding. And the early pit stop is such a disadvantage because you're running heavier for longer, and then you have a disadvantage of tire wear once Andrew pitted. So it was unfortunate. It wasn't malicious by binding, but it's just it's a shame. Could have been a battle.
Yeah, it's a shame. I understand binding had an HDMI issue again as well. He's really going for the full experience of, mechanical failures in real life.
Who said sim racing wasn't realistic?
Indeed. Well, I mean, it didn't go your way today, but there's 2 more rounds left in the championship, and it's Silverstone, which we've talked about before. I know it's not your favourite, and Yas Marina might afford an opportunity to come back. Andrew was talking about putting some rear wing on the car for those 2 rounds. Do you think you'll be doing the same?
Yeah, there's definitely going to need to be some amount of downforce, and just in terms of the speed you're going to hit on the straights anyway. There's not necessarily advantage to running 0-0 all round because you run out of time to accelerate to that speed anyway. So
true.
Yeah, there'll definitely be some downforce on the car, and that maybe widens certain setup options on the mechanical side as well to kind of create full balance. So yeah, a few things to play around with.
Very good. Well, looks like it hasn't fully calculated the points for the rounds yet, but I'm assuming there's a potential for a close finish between you and Andrew still. So hopefully we get a nice kind of battle between you two for the remaining 2 rounds. But I shall go ahead and bring in Akshik for his interview and bid you a good evening, Forrest, and look forward to seeing how things go for you in the remaining 2 rounds of this league.
Yep.
And I'll catch you in a bit.
Right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Mr. Akashik.
I can speak French.
Go ahead then, you can do the whole interview in French.
Ah, oui, oui.
How did the race go for you today?
Voulez-vous coucher avec moi?
No.
Oh, my heart. No, but the race was quite fun. I had a really good battle with Binding. Fortunately, it ended too early. He had a spin going into Indianapolis in the last 2 minutes, which cost him the podium. He had fantastic pace that despite the damage he got in the first part of the race, he recovered quite well, so he's definitely a contender for a podium, if not a win, going into the last 2 races, so we have to watch out for that. Besides that, I'm very happy with the race. Only had 2 small incidents, and strategy worked out flawlessly, so no complaints on that end.
Very good. Well, it was a shame that we had such a small grid and there was no opportunity for you to get into a battle of more than 2 cars, a menage a trois of sorts. but no such opportunities afforded to you today. Hopefully the remaining 2 rounds we can encourage a few more to attend to get a bit of a battle going. But which are you preferring, your odds for, Silverstone or Yas Marina?
That's a very difficult question. I've more experience with Silverstone, but Yas Marina might be an open book for everyone, because there are not a lot of people there. And I think it's a less technical circuit with more faster corners, which does suit me more. So I'm probably hoping for a good result at Yas Marina.
Okay, well let's see how things play out for you, and I will jump off the server at the end of this interview so you can see your precious elo change.
Thank you. Actually, it just changed, and the results saying.
There we go. It eventually just ignores you being on the server and does it anyway, but congratulations on the podium today, and unfortunately the battle with you and Binding getting cut short due to his HDMI issue kind of denied us a little bit of entertainment, but a good result for you all round.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with it and looking forward to the next races. Hopefully with more people on the race.
Exactly. You'll have to slide into some people's DMs and encourage them to attend, otherwise you will possibly hostile date them.
Yeah, I will make some good threats to the people that listen to the race but don't actually race. Michael. Yeah, I'm calling you out.
You've heard it here, folks. If you fail to attend the remaining rounds of this league, you personally delivered Metbrotchen by Akshik and live streamed eating it.
And there's no second choice in that. It's
Exactly.
Metbrotchen or nothing.
You will eat the Metbrotchen. Okay, Akshik, well, thank you very much. Congratulations again, and I will catch you next weekend.
Yeah, looking forward to it. See you soon.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Alright guys, thank you very much for your attendance today, especially big thanks to everyone who turned up to do the racing today, and those in chat, and I shall see you all next weekend for the penultimate round of the championship, where we continue to watch the fight between Forrest McCormack and Andrew unfold. But without further ado, I wish you all a very good evening, and catch you next time.